Right, okay. I've learned from the last one. I'm wearing my best t-shirt that's only a little bit ratty around the collar because it's like 25 years old. I've got a different microphone, which looks stupid. And yeah, I think I'm ready to go. The FIFA series is made by EA Sports, which is a part of Electronic Arts, which is one of the biggest publishers in the world. £2.2 billion, that's what EA brought in 2020, after it had paid salaries and taxes and rent and distribution costs and, well, development and marketing and catering and for those fancy press trips the popular influencers get, and so much more. Even after spending billions and all that, EA still earned over £2 billion. EA is big. In the 90s, EA wasn't as big, but it was still big. It made £7.7 million in one quarter of 1998, which was some dirty maths and updated via the magic of inflation, means EA profited by about 55.4 million quid in all of 1998. It was probably more. Look, the numbers are too big for me to care enough to do real investigations. Once you've earned over £40,000 a year, you may as well stop counting as far as I'm concerned. But then I haven't stopped counting yet, so what do I know? Pull yourself up by your bootstraps and one day you can be like EA. The point, and there is one somewhere in here I think, the point is that EA is a big company, and even 25 years ago EA was a big company. Big companies care about making money, and they do so by appealing to as many people as possible. One way EA Sports really does this is by making those FIFA games I mentioned before veering off on some wild maths gambit. EA is one of the biggest companies in video games. FIFA is one of the biggest companies in sport. I mean, it says it's a non-profit sporting governance body, but FIFA had £2.5 billion in cash in the bank at the end of 2020. So it ain't really a mom and pop volunteer organisation. In fact, it was involved in some quite exquisite corruption and bribery just a few years ago. And that's not even allegedly, because it was proven in court and people were prosecuted for it. Wire fraud, racketeering, and money laundering. Not your usual non-profit org behaviour, but then what do I know? Oh, and bribery. Yeah, good stuff all round. But the point stands. EA is massive and FIFA is massive. And as massive organisations, each wants to appeal to the masses, and to appeal to the masses one has to eschew the fringes. One has to aim for the middle and embrace the mediocrity that naturally accompanies being in the middle. One way of doing this is by featuring popular music from popular acts in the popular FIFA Football, or FIFA Soccer as it used to be known, series. This actually started in 1997's FIFA Road to World Cup 98, which ran with the chart-topping hit Song 2 by Britpop darlings Blur. Woohoo! It was genuinely a talking point for the game back then. I know it sounds daft given modern sports games have entire albums of songs on them, but FIFA RTWC 98 was the first time a FIFA game had done it. It was cool to hear it. You played it to yourself repeatedly, you played it to friends, to family. Even my dad, who has never had any interest in anything, remarked that a computer game I was playing had a real song from a real band on it. It was the sort of move that would help a game really establish a stronger foothold in the mainstream. Then came 1998 and the actual World Cup game rather than the preamble. World Cup 98, as it was imaginatively titled, was EA Sports' first bite of the world's biggest single sporting tournament, Cherry. The licensed soundtrack from the previous game, Blur and a bunch of other dance and acid trance stuff, had gone down a treat, so the studio obviously looked for a recent big pop hit to throw in there and grab you by the earballs. What multinational megacorp EA landed on for its game licensed by multinational mega non-profit FIFA was a little song named Tubthumping from UK band Chumbawamba. You know it. I get knocked down, but I get up again. And so on and so forth. It was a worldwide smash in 1997 and 1998, helping the hitherto unknown band explode onto the scene and thrusting a 15 minutes of fame that burned all too brightly upon them. The usual one-hit wonder stuff by a band that firmly settled back into obsolescence not too long afterwards. Except Chumbawamba had a history and a present and, though we weren't to know it at the time, a future. All of these elements included the fact Chumbawamba was an anarchist punk band from Leeds via Burnley, both in the north of England. As a band, it had been going almost 20 years by the time Tubthumping came out, and every one of those 20 years, the band had been staunch in its ideology, its beliefs, and its politics. Chumbawamba was a group of anarchists put front and centre on one of the biggest licensed video games in the world, itself based on the world's biggest sporting event. One could say then that EA Sports offered a tacit endorsement of anarchist ideology if one was feeling especially mischievous. I get it though, Tubthumping was a hit, and it was a hit because it was anthemic. Easy to learn and sing along, gang vocals, a pride in the lyrics. Everything a drunken bunch of idiots wants on a night out or at a party or whatever. And there's every argument to be made that featuring a proudly working class band singing an overtly working class anthem about what is, in essence if not practice, a working class sport is the right thing to do on the officially endorsed World Cup game, if only for the optics of it all. Tubthumping is a song about resilience in the face of, well, being working class and all the shit life throws at you when you're lacking certain elements of privilege. It isn't Chumbawamba's most political song, sure, and it's easy to accept as a straight-up dance floor banger, so it's understandable why it might fly under radars or over heads when it came to selecting a song for your game based on the most mainstream of mainstream events. It also sings proudly about getting drunk, and the version on World Cup 98 still includes the lyric "pissing the night away" in all its glory, which you have got to chuckle at. All the same, I can't stop coming back to the fact that a FIFA licensed game made by one of the world's biggest publishers, EA, uncritically featured a song by a band known for endless benefit shows, engagement in direct action, supporting animal rights causes, aiding anti-racism organisations, and pouring water over the Deputy Prime Minister owing to the fact his party had refused to support striking dock workers. And even though that very Deputy PM had a penchant for battering the electorate. Alright, so Prescott hadn't publicly battered a voter by the time the 1998 Brit Awards rolled around, but that is just too funny not to mention. It's worth a mention too that the official World Cup 98 album featured Chumbawamba as England's official song, the tepid Top of the World, which while lacking in anthemic qualities did reference, fittingly, striking dock workers, Zapatistas, political prisoners and more. But hey, the chorus went ole ole ole, so the chumps at Football Music HQ just ticked it off and let the anarcho-punks get their mitts all over the 1998 World Cup. What a strange time that all was. EA's World Cup games didn't quite double down on the anarchist tendencies in the years that followed. The official song for the 2010 World Cup game, for example, was called Wavin' Flag Coca-Cola Celebration Mix, which probably speaks for itself. And as for Chumbawamba, the band would take full advantage of its brief moment of fame in order to spread the word and make statements consistent with its politics. My favourite being... Okay, hello, pause this a second, future Ian here. I got my story wrong on this bit, and I don't really know where I got the story I said from. I said something about Chevrolet, which is entirely wrong. Basically, Chumbawamba was offered $70,000 to include one of its songs in a General Motors advert for one of its Pontiacs, which they accepted, and then they promptly took the $70,000 and gave it to lots of anti-corporate companies and Corpwatch, a US campaign group, and things like that, and turned the money against the company that had paid it to them in the first place. And I just think it's really funny. Are we still saying big dick energy? Because I do think that's a fine example. Thanks to the patrons on Patreons. I've added some more tiers on there, so this is a bit weird right now, but here we go with thanks to... And special thanks to these higher tier folks for their higher higher contributions. Everyone makes a difference, but these ones get to have their names said by me like this. Lola Osman, Takara Hoshi. Thanks everyone for your ongoing support, it is always appreciated. Wake me up when a Call of Duty game features propagandies of speculative fiction on the intro sequence. Bye!